again. So here we are back in the junk room for another Beer and Blades video. Specifically this time it's my birthday blade. Comes round a lot quicker each year, I'm finding. But first it's the beer. Now a little while ago a good friend of mine, Phil, went to Haworth and he brought me back some beer because he knows I like Timothy Taylor's beers, particularly their Ramtam. So he bought me a bottle of that and a bottle of Landlord, and he bought me a bottle of Bolt Maker, which I've never had before. So we're going to do a proper first time testing. So as you may know, Timothy Taylor, the brewery, prides itself on being very traditional, and their beers are very traditional in style. So I'm not expecting anything fancy from this. I'm not expecting any bloody grapefruit or vanilla or shite like that. I'm just expecting a good pint of beer. Let's put that down for a second. It's very lively. It says it's a well-balanced Yorkshire bitter with a full measure of maltiness and a hoppy aroma. And it is 4.2% by volume. Not a very dark bitter by any means. Nudging a bit towards the Golden Best kind of colour. Let's see. It certainly smells hoppy. Actually, it smells like shandy. That's weird. Well, that's nice. It's quite a light flavour. A little bit caramelly. There's a good flavour of hops, but it's not particularly dry. I like that. Bold and malty Yorkshire bitter. Taylor's Bolt Maker. Very nice. So on to the blade. Now, I need to talk a little bit about this before we get to the desktop review. A couple of things I need to mention. This is the Impey by Andre de Villiers. Now he's a South African knife maker, and I didn't know until after I'd purchased the knife that there has been some controversy around Mr. de Villiers in the past. A couple of the forums containing tales of ill treatment of customers, shall we say. Now, I don't know the truth of this. I am not dealing with him directly. I bought the knife from Heine Haynes, and as I say, I only knew there was some controversy after I'd bought the knife, and these comments I saw were from sort of 4 years ago, so whether that's all blown over and everything's tickety-boo now, I don't know. So I'm not going to get into that. There will be some of you out there I know that won't buy these products because of what may or may not have happened in the past. That's your choice, that's fine. But I won't be getting into any discussions about whether or not I should be dealing with Mr. de Villiers, because I haven't done. As I say, I bought the knife from Heine Haynes. Now, Heine Haynes deserve a good shout out for this. I'd seen pictures of the knife from time to time, and the design really intrigued me. And one evening I noticed that they'd, on their new products page, they had an Impey with, I think it was ebony scales. And I thought, ooh, because I've not seen one on sale in the UK before. So via the website I sent them a contact message saying that if you could get hold of one of these with white bone scales, I'd be very, very interested in buying one. Following morning, I got an email back saying, as it happens, we've got one in white bone, we just haven't put it on the website yet. And there's a couple of close-up photographs attached. So I replied, saying, I'll have it. How do you want me to pay? I got a response with a PayPal request for payment. So I did the PayPal thing, and by mid-morning, it was bought and paid for. Turned up a day or two later. Yeah, so Heine Haynes again. Excellent customer service. I think it's Richard who I dealt with. Can't recommend them highly enough. It's Heine Haynes, heine.com. Now, onto the knife itself. As I say, it's my birthday blade, so it's a bit of a treat. Join me at the desktop and we'll see what it's all about. Okay, so this is how the knife comes. We need to start off by saying, for my budget at least, this knife cost a lot of money. It was £315. Now, whether you think that's overpriced is for you to decide, but let's see what we get. There are a couple of areas where I think the price tag is not justified, and we'll start with this is how the knife comes. It comes in a little pouch, no box, no warranty leaflet, no paperwork of any kind, just wrapped in essentially cling film, shrink wrap. So we've got a sort of a padded nylon pouch, De Villiers on the front. Now I don't know if you can see, but this is not embroidered on. It's transfer printed and it's breaking up already. On the back we've got 2017 IH. I think if we're going to have a fabric pouch, that should have been machine embroidered in this price bracket. Fastens with Velcro, which I don't like. I would have preferred to see 2 press studs or poppers. The pouch itself is, I suppose, comparable with what a lot of knives ship in nowadays, but I think for a knife of this weight, and this is quite a heavy little knife, it's just too flimsy and too floppy. I think at the very least it should have come with a leather slipcase. Something along the lines of this Northwoods. Just a fold over piece, 2 lines of stitching, that would have been more suitable. So, here's the knife. And what have we got? A single blade slip joint. This is a white bone handle, steel, unspecified stainless steel bolsters and plates and back spring. Little tiny torque screws holding the white bone scales on. No half stop. Quite a nice snap into position. I personally would have preferred it to be a little bit stiffer, a bit more authoritative, but it's certainly not a problem. The design is the thing that grabbed me about this knife. I'd seen pictures of it here and there, and as soon as I got the chance I had to have one. We've got a big deep bellied spear point blade, and the taper down the back and the underneath line is lovely follow on from the blade curve. We've got a swedge at the front, and then this sort of oversized nail nick. It's well on its way to being called a fuller, I would have said. In the satin blade we've got like a bead blasted finish in there, and then in these cut out design details they're bead blasted as well, whereas we've got satin finish on the bolsters. On the ricasso there, we've got the name Impi, which is a Zulu word, I believe, for a group or a unit of soldiers or armed men. And then on this side we've got De Villiers. The knife is slightly short of 4 inches on the handle, so 100mm. The blade tip to handle is just shy, it's about 1/32 short of 3 inches, with a cutting blade of 2 5/8. So we're UK legal there. The blade thickness is 0.13 of an inch, which is 3.3mm, so quite a chunky knife. We'll do size comparison, as we usually do with a Victorinox Spartan. And as you can see, whilst it's only a little bit longer in the blade and a little bit longer in the handle, it is quite a different proposition. The fit and finish is really nice. Nothing gappy at all along the back. The transitions where the scales are fitted to the bolsters are very smooth, very nicely done. And in there, I don't know if you can see, we've got 2017 stamped or laser cut into the inside of the back spring. As I say, the action is nice. It's very well centred. The blade, now, Heine Haynes are listing this as being made of Bowler N690, and I don't think it is. The 3-inch, whether it's the slip joint or the lock back, everybody else is stating that it's D2 tool steel. So people like Blade HQ and KnifeCenter.com, for example. The 2-inch version is listed as Bowler N690. I think it's more likely that this is actually D2, the same as all the other 3-inch Impis, whether they're slip joint or lock back. Annoyingly, on the website for Andre De Villiers, it's the one thing he doesn't say for the slip joint 3-inch Impi is what the blade steel is. Let's see what the edge is like. Got a piece of catalogue paper. It comes absolutely razor sharp. It's a lovely smooth cutter, and it is quite a chunky blade for a pocket knife. But that's the factory edge. Nothing at all wrong with that. Nail nick there, sharp nail nick, got a sharpening nick there. As I say, the fit and finish is great. I started off saying this is quite a heavy knife, so let's get on the scales. So in grams, that's 130.5, thereabouts. Which in English, 4.6 ounces. And if you bear in mind that the Spartan is only a little bit over 2 ounces, so it is very weighty indeed. It does feel good in the hand. The weight is not silly. It's nicely balanced. It's comfortable to hold. I have seen one review which says where these corner details have been milled away, they're sharp, the corners. I wouldn't go as far as to say they're sharp. They're certainly, I would say, crisp, and there probably would have been some value in just knocking some of these corners off very slightly. But it's not a knife that you're going to be using as a beater knife and doing lots of heavy tasks with, even though it is a chunky knife and it's well made. I think it's too nice for that. No blade play whatsoever. You wouldn't imagine any side to side with a blade of that depth. Nice smooth action. There's no washers as far as I can tell. You do feel the steel on steel as you open it, but it's not gritty and it's not rough. It's very nicely done. So that is the Andre De Villiers Impey, the spear point slip joint. So I did say this was a lot of money, £315. Do I think it's overpriced? Yes, I do, given the way it arrives. Am I disappointed? No, not at all. For me, the thing that grabbed me was the striking design. My thing is the traditional pocket knife, but I do like when somebody can combine modern and traditional elements together, which I think this design really does. So I'm quite happy with this. I don't feel like I've been cheated, but I do think you need to bear in mind, if you were going to spend that money, what else could you get as an alternative? And perhaps this may be overpriced for you. But I'm happy. I think it's a lovely, lovely thing. It's very well made, as I say. And so now we'll finish off as we normally do with a slideshow, and you can have a closer look.